Hey guys, how you guys doing? This video was not planned. I know it's been a long time. I thought this would be an interesting video. I thought it was gonna be nice and short, but let me tell you what I'm working on. I'm working on a knock sensor on a 2000 Maxima. Customer came in, told me that it's not throwing a light, it's not throwing anything. The engine is not even, the engine idles normal, everything is normal. But when I put my scanner on it, even though there's no check engine light and the bulb is physically in the cluster, so no one tamper with the bulb. It's coming on as knock sensor code, right? So after some digging, turned out it was the knock sensor. I already removed it. It's right here. This is the knock sensor. As you can see, it's the Japan made. This is the original one with the car. The car only has about 98,000 miles now or something like that, so I'm surprised. My Maxima has 250,000 miles and I still have the factory one in there. So to get to this knock sensor, I looked everywhere, right? On the web, forums. No one seemed to be doing these jobs, except for I see like guys with a 3.5 motor. This is a 3.0 motor. The guys with a 3.5 motor is so simple, right? This one I don't explain to you. You need to take off the intake manifold, right? There's probably guys out there watching this video like, you know what, I do this every day. You don't need to take off the intake manifold, right? I felt I needed to take it off. No matter what I did, I couldn't even see the sensor, right? And the hardest part about, you see these intake manifold, right? There's only a few bolts, really. There's only a few bolts, the long ones that's holding this baby down. These little small ones, this is just for brackets, and so I just leave them all in there. You know, I don't want to lose them. So, but the hardest part is getting these off. These 6 bolts drove me insane for about an hour because it's right by the firewall. I had to disconnect the heater hoses to get to them. You need to disconnect a lot of shit to get to these bolts, okay? And you cannot remove this intake with these bolts still in place. Alright, you're gonna have a really hard time. Okay, if you guys can do it, please make a video because I would love to see it. Not as proof, but because I have to do another one of these jobs, and I don't want to do this way as such. This is a very hard way. Since I have the rebuild kit for this whole job, Felt Pro, right? I believe this is 2001 Maxima, right? So that's the whatever it comes with. That's all. Everything is included here. Okay. Gaskets. More gaskets. Right. So come over here. This knock sensor. Right. I already took it off and I changed it. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's in the valley there, right between there. Alright, I had to take off, I believe. You see, I took off the thermostat housing because no matter what I do, and I took off the other piece. Alright, to be more specific with you guys, thermostat housing and whatever the hell this is. Right? I'm just saying it's cooling related because there's a hose that goes from here to here, and It's this exact hose right here. Something like this, right? Whatever. You gotta take this off. I have to take it off because I have some really big hands, and as you guys can see, that is really small space, right? I'm not 100% finished with this job, as you can see, right? But I'm at a point right now where I'm just gonna start cleaning up my tools because I'm exhausted and it's a Sunday. I want to take a break. If you're wondering where this connector is, right? All right, this is the new one. It gets connected over here. Okay, so you guys can follow it. If you guys can't really, if you guys don't know where it is, that's the connector here. Right, where that is located, that's located right next to the air breather intake. Right, connector right there. Right, so you follow this, you disconnect this. If you can locate this, then you can probably, you'll see a better view of that. That gets connected right in here. I bought the sensor on eBay. It probably ran me about, I don't know, 30 bucks. Yeah, so guys, if you're doing this job, be ready for disasters, right? Take WD-40, soak all of the intake bolts. They're not heavily torqued down, right? But you don't know, this car is 17 years old, right? I'm not about to just go there, dry bolts, rusty bolts, and just start breaking stuff. You're making the job harder on yourself. I soaked all the bolts overnight, and the next day they all came out pretty well. And yes, the firewall back here has a few. Oh my God, let me see if I can show you guys. This destroyed my hands. I took off this hose because two of the bolts, see the bracket is right over here. You can see it better now, right? Because I took so much stuff off. These two bolts is being held in. These two bolts right here. I couldn't get this one without removing the hose. I couldn't get my wrench in here, right? So remove the hose, push it in the corner, and start removing this. This one was a pain in the ass because of this head. So I had to bend this bracket a little bit to get access to this bolt here. Alright, so these two need to come out. There's one right here somewhere, and you see the other two over here. 1, 2, so it's 6 altogether. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And there's 2 of them that you're not gonna be seeing. You have to use your fingers, you have to feel, right? But it's here, trust me, it's here. Don't be frustrated if this is your first time. Take your time. Make sure you have a weekend. Alright? After I take the intake off, I gotta clean up all these ports. They are disgusting. Alright? I wanna clean it up nice. The kit comes with the new gasket. So after I clean it up nice, I'm cleaning this motor up. And make sure everything is good before I start up this car again. 98,000 miles. I've been reading that this knock sensor is very notorious for the 2001 Maxima, and the shop price for this job is pretty sweet. Right? It makes me wish I worked at a shop. Yeah, man, if you guys have any questions about this video, let me see, did I get everything here? I believe I did. There's only a few bolts. They're this long. I moved them over here. These are the actual bolts that comes out of the intake that goes into the head. Okay? The ones on the top, the smaller short ones, I would advise you put the short ones back. You can't mess these up because The short ones are the one length, and the long ones are one length. The short ones won't work on the long ones, and the long ones won't work on the short ones, right? But the long ones will destroy the ports if you put it in and you just crazy, right? It's a pretty straightforward job. You just need some patience, some tools, and you know what I would do different next time. I would flush my radiator. I would drain out my antifreeze because I made a little mess on the floor here. When I take off the thermostat housing, I have to vacuum the whole entire port over there just to make sure that there's it's not a mess. Throttle body needs to come off. Make sure you disconnect your battery first. If you did not disconnect your battery first, this job might turn into a nightmare, because the IAC on these cars are notorious to give problems. If you don't turn off if you don't disconnect your battery, disconnect the whole entire battery. If you're unsure or you're scared, disconnect the whole battery. Take the goddamn battery out, because you will go through a computer if you don't take off the battery. Okay. What else? Yeah, I want to show you guys something. If you come to this length, right? If this is your personal car, this used to be my car. I don't know if you guys remember the video with the solenoid, the transmission solenoid. This was my car. I sold it. A lady brought it back to me. She did not change the oil since I sold her this car. This belongs, the throttle body is here. That gets mounted on. It gets mounted in here. Let me just show you guys how disgusting this looks. Alright? Use your imagination. Alright? But it is filthy. And even though this was my car, and even though it belongs to someone else, customer car now, I will never give this car back in this condition. I'm going to clean it up nice. I already have the gaskets. I'm going to change all of them. I'm going to clean every single port. I want to make it so beautiful. This car is going to run like $1 million again. Alright? Look at this. Just look at this. When I had this car was spotless. Right? You need to change your oil, or this will actually damage your IAC, will damage a lot of shit. Alright? Alright guys, again, this is not a tutorial video. This is just a brief video just to show you guys where the sensor is located. It's located right in the valley there. If you guys can somehow manage to take this sensor off without taking and keeping this intake on, please make a video. I want to see what I'm doing wrong, because I never did this job and I have another job coming up. Right? Just like this. So if you guys know a way, clean everything before you put everything back on. Clean everything, please. You don't want to come back in this hell. You don't want to come back in here. Guys who's been working in the shop, all the time, you guys get accustomed to this kind of jobs. I've been fixing the trains. I don't really have much time to fix cars. When I do fix cars, I take my time, relax, and I make sure I get the job done. A neat, organized way. I like to put everything back together. I like to check every single part, every component on this motor before I put everything back together. Make sure the customer leaves happy and never comes back with the same problem twice. Thank you guys for watching, and subscribe.